This dog had to be literally carried to the truck.
2 dogs rescued from a central Kentucky home. Animal Control is asking for your help caring for them.
WKYT investigates how police departments around Kentucky are now protecting for less after losing an important part of their funding.
Tonight, a group of Lexington firefighters will take over the court here at Rupp Arena for one of their teammates.
WKYT News starts now with breaking news.
Good evening to you. Tonight, state police have launched a death investigation after finding a man dead in Jackson County. At this point, they're not sure what caused his death.
This investigation is taking place along Bailey Road near the Anvil community. State police have not released many details so far. We do have a news crew heading to that scene. Keep checking WKYT.com and the WKYT News app for any updates. Rescued in the nick of time. Tonight, 2 starving dogs found outside a Nicholasville home are now recovering, and their owner faces charges.
Animal control workers think the dogs were just hours away from dying when they were rescued yesterday. First, a warning, though, you may find some of this video disturbing. Victor Puente has our top story at 6.
Both of those dogs were surrendered by their owner to animal control. Those officers tell me they're not sure if one of them will ever recover enough to be put up for adoption. That dog, Snicker, is still receiving vet care after being confiscated yesterday.
This dog had to be literally carried to the truck. When we set him in there, we tried to stand him up, but he immediately fell forward and collapsed.
The other dog they took, Boo, is doing much better, but they're still having to feed her slowly to keep her from getting sick. They were both taken yesterday afternoon when Animal Control received an anonymous tip.
Probably months, I would say months of missing meals if they were not fed at all.
The officers have filed 2 criminal complaints of second-degree animal cruelty against the dog's owner, Vicki Madden. Madden told me she had tried her best to feed the dogs. She said she couldn't talk much about what had happened, but did say she'd thought about giving them to someone but didn't know who to turn to. While Boo is gaining energy, officers say Snicker may not recover from his condition, although it has been improving.
But once they get that emaciated, trying to bring them back from that point without there being some type of organ damage, it's a possibility.
At first, that vet thought they were going to have to give Snicker a blood transfusion because of his low body temperature. But they say he has been responding to fluids and the small amount of food they've been able to feed him. In Jessamine County, Victor Puente, WKYT.
Animal Care and Control thinks caring for both dogs will be expensive. They're accepting donations to offset the cost. We have information on how you can help at WKYT.com. New tonight, a Louisville Planned Parenthood facility accused of performing abortions without a valid license now faces a lawsuit from the state. The Cabinet for Health and Family Services is suing the facility for nearly $700,000 in fines. The Cabinet also claims some materials submitted with the facility's application for a license were, quote, a complete sham. Last month, Governor Bevin ordered abortions to stop at the facility, claiming it didn't have a license to do them, but the facility claims it had approval from former Governor Steve Beshear's administration.
In recent years, it's provided a major boost for police departments across Kentucky. The Federal Asset Forfeiture Fund, much of which came from money seized from drug busts or other crimes, is a big part of department budgets. But back in December, the Department of Justice suspended that fund, leaving police departments without money they say is critical. Miranda Combs investigates protecting for less.
They used it
I got $400
to buy this and maintenance for this.
That is the perversion of justice, in my opinion.
For cameras like this and protection like this.
It is a farce.
A lot of times it starts with something like this. It's a drug bust where property is seized and the people are arrested. But since December, things have changed. The Federal Asset Forfeiture Program, or Equitable Sharing Program, had allowed police to take money and property from people they arrest and keep up to 80% of it. However, at the end of 2015, the Justice Department stopped it. Jason Pye with Freedom Works applauds the suspension.
Ultimately, the funding for state and local law enforcement should come from state and local government.
This story took us from London.
It does put a strain on the department itself.
Where the chief says equipment they've bought with federal forfeiture funds have kept them relevant in the fight against drugs.
Write it down.
And to Lexington, this is their list of how they use their asset forfeiture money. $739,000 in 2012, close to $500,000 in 2013, and $330,000 in fiscal year 2014. The money was used for everything from overtime to weapons to travel and helicopter upgrades. We then headed to Hazard, a city where budgets are smaller, yet their drug epidemic is measurable.
I feel like we're at ground zero on a lot of that, and that you know, this is where a lot of effort should be concentrated.
Hazard Police Chief Minor Allen has 30 sworn officers. A couple of them at one time worked with drug task forces to put a bigger footprint on his area's drug problem. But money from the federal asset forfeiture helped him be able to pay for those officers. Since that money is gone,
we've started our own in-house drug program, concentrating more on a local level now.
Which isn't ideal, he admits, when the drug infestation spreads beyond the city limits.
Just like the old adage says, if you're going to be in the ball game, you got to have a player on the floor.
And equipment to protect them.
The asset forfeiture portion of it was just a little bit what you would say icing on the cake, because it did provide funds to buy equipment with and stuff.
But the program has its critics, and according to Charles Clark, its victims. His case out of northern Kentucky became a talking point for a national justice group.
That if this can happen to me, it can happen to anybody.
Clark was at the Cincinnati Northern Kentucky airport in 2013. Security suspected he had marijuana in his bag. They didn't find any, but they seized $11,000 in cash he had with him. He's now represented by the Institute for Justice, who are using him as an example of what they say is ordinary Americans being victims of policing for profit.
Innocent people are being treated like criminals, and that's ridiculous.
It's a property rights issue. It's a constitutional due process issue.
Pai says there are examples all over the country where local police are more focused on federal asset forfeiture funds than traditional policing. And while the program is suspended, he wants to see it never return.
Ultimately, I'd like to see the federal government's equitable sharing program, what law enforcement used to prosecute funds at the federal level. I would like to see it ended completely.
But in places like this, they're hoping this suspension is just that, because they say that extra money was a game changer.
Just because you lose one ball game don't mean you're not going to play the next one.
And we got a statement from the Justice Department on the matter. In part, it said they suspended about $300 million from the asset forfeiture fund because the recent budget deal took more than $1 billion from that fund. It said the department will reinstate the payments, though, once enough funds are available to do so, guys.
So this is a big hit. How do they manage to make this up, what they're going to be missing?
Definitely going to have to rearrange the budgets a lot, but they say safety will not be in jeopardy at all. They're going to do everything they can to move forward. And of course, these local departments are hoping it will be back soon.
All right, Miranda, thank you. Today, presidents of several Kentucky universities went to Frankfort to ask lawmakers not to cut money from higher education. Governor Bevin has proposed cutting 9% in state funding for Kentucky's public universities. The university presidents say the cuts will hurt students. UK President Dr. Eli Capilouto called them draconian.
Draconian is cruel and unusual. There's nothing cruel and unusual about doing the very things that each of us is required to do in our own homes, in our own businesses, in our own lives every single day.
They're accustomed to a certain level of service and teaching and counseling and advising, and to risk cutting those services and in effect negatively impacting their education, they're fighting that, and they're the ones that are paying.
The university presidents are hoping their presentation to a House subcommittee today will ease some of the proposed cuts.
And we finally saw some sunshine and milder temperatures today, and tomorrow will be even warmer. Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey has an early look at that warmer forecast.
Yes, indeed. Thermometers really going to jump tomorrow. Many areas will hit 60. Let's not cut today too short out there. Beautiful conditions across the entire region. Check out The sunset right now in Lexington. Picture perfect out there. A little bit of high cloud cover streaming on into town, but overall that's about as good as it gets. 44 degrees. Feels like it is 39, courtesy of a wind coming from the southeast. That's a warmer wind. Anytime you see the S on there, that's a southerly component, and that's going to blow some milder air into town. 39 Maysville, 55 Bowling Green, 60 into western Kentucky. Quite the temperature swing, but all that milder air to our west and southwest blowing on into town, and I mean blowing on into town. Wind advisory late tonight and through the day on Friday. Those gusts tomorrow could reach 40 to 45 miles per hour, courtesy of that big warm up. 70s right now, as close by as Missouri. Parts of the Plain States will hit 80 degrees. Record highs likely to fall for the nation's midsection as we go through the next couple of days. For us out and about this evening, mainly into the mid and upper 30s, then temperatures kind of put the brakes on and start to warm up as we go into late tonight and tomorrow morning. When I come back in a few minutes, guys, that new hour-by-hour forecast to walk you through a March-like weekend.
Thank you, Chris. The Cats will be looking for some revenge tonight when they take on Tennessee at Rupp Arena. The Vols beat UK in Knoxville a few weeks ago. Rob Bromley joins us live from Rupp Arena with a preview of tonight's game. Hi, Rob.
Well, you know, Sam and Amber, it's all about playing well at this time of year, and that's exactly what John Calipari has his team doing as we get deeper and deeper into February. There are only 6 games left now in the regular season before we hit the SEC tournament. Yesterday, Cal said the season has flown by. He said there have been ups and downs, and the greatest thing is to see the progress, but he says his team is still not where it needs to be. And he's cautious, of course, about tonight's game with Tennessee.
I told you guys a couple weeks ago, we're going game to game. We're worried about Tennessee. We're not worried about anything else after that. We're worried about what we're doing in this game and how we'll play. This team beat us last time. We had a nice lead. They came back and basically just ran us over, beat us by 30 in a 25-minute stretch. We've got our hands full in what we're doing, and again, how we're preparing. We're just trying to say we're not backing up. Let's keep going forward.
7 o'clock tip-off on ESPN tonight for Kentucky and Tennessee. I'll have more coming up shortly in sports, but for now, Sam and Amber, that's it from here in Rupp Arena. Back to you.
Thank you, Rob. And the Cats have 3 games left at home and 3 on the road as we draw closer to March.
During halftime of tonight's UK game, some Lexington firefighters will be helping one of their own. They'll be playing basketball in support of firefighter Matt Logston, who's now battling cancer. Monique Blair has more on this special game of hoops.
10 Lexington firefighters are playing in that game in an effort to raise awareness to the fight one of their own firefighters is facing. Their message for their firefighter brother, Matt Logston, is simple.
We love him. We care for him. We're praying for him and his family every single day. It's it's a very tight brotherhood and sisterhood, and we're there for one another.
And tonight, when the firefighters take the court at Rupp Arena, for one of them, it won't be her first time. Nastasia Alcius is a former UK women's basketball player.
I'm no spring chicken like I used to be, but I still got a little bounce.
And although she's looking forward to being back on the court at Rupp, Alcius says this game is different because it's not about athletics. It's about life.
The situation that's at hand right now, it's very disheartening for all of us across the board, but knowing that this opportunity has come about to be able to give back to him, it means a lot to everybody involved.
Most of all, these firefighters say they want to show Logston that he's not fighting alone.
Anything that happens, I know brightens his day and makes it easier for what he's going through right now.
Each of those 10 firefighters will be wearing a special jersey made by Nike. On the back of each jersey will read #TeamLogston. In Lexington, Monique Blair, WKYT.
In the last 2 weeks, a GoFundMe account has raised about $30,000 to help pay Logston's medical bills.
Well, we hope you haven't hit one, but they are popping up all over Lexington roads. How you can help Streets and Roads crews if you see a pothole next.
Kentucky mornings start here. Breaking and overnight news, weather to plan your day, plus traffic you can take with you. Make WKYT This Morning part of your Kentucky morning. Weekdays from 4:30 to 7 on WKYT.
Think of it as a 7-seat theater for an action-packed thriller. The all-new Audi Q7.
Make time this spring to escape to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, where the only thing you'll want to do is have fun in the sun. let the sound of the ocean's tide take all your cares away and leave you refreshed to experience something new. It's your moment to let go and unwind on Myrtle Beach Time.
Let go and unwind on Myrtle Beach Time.
What do these women have in common? They are the staff of Ageless Medical Weight Loss. They've lost a combined 1,300 pounds. The team at Ageless will understand your struggles and celebrate your victories. For a medically supervised, affordable weight loss solution, call Ageless today for a free consultation.
So wherever your adventures take you, you can bet Toyota has an all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive vehicle that can take you there. And right now is the best time to get one. Get 2.9% financing for 60 months on the Go Anywhere, Do Anything 4Runner. Or 1.9% financing for 60 months on the full-size American-made Tundra. With these vehicles from Toyota, never stop exploring. Toyota, let's go places.
All right, come on, everybody, it's time to go.
Getting more for your money is simpler than you might think. When you shop at Kroger, you get low prices throughout the store, weekly specials, great value from our quality brands, digital coupons, and even fuel points to help you save at the pump. No spin, just savings.
It's the Daytona 500 Fast Track to Savings event,
where food and fans unite.
Buy any 6 participating items and you'll save $3 at checkout at Kroger.
February is fabulous during Lexington Furniture's Custom Upholstery event. Choose from the finest in quality upholstered furniture and all from the best manufacturers. Henredon, Bernhardt, Sherrill, Taylor King, and Lexington Home Brands. These manufacturers gave special discounts to Lexington Furniture, and now we're passing them on to you. Save up to 50% off suggested manufacturer retail prices during Lexington Furniture's Custom Upholstery event. It's furniture you'll love to live with.
At Golden Corral, leave your wallet in coach and upgrade your taste buds to first class. Premium weekends are here, America. Yeah! Live it up with prime rib, jumbo shrimp, and more. Just $13.99. Only at Golden Corral.
Technology entire countries want to get their hands on. If they could ever catch you. The all-new Audi Q7.
Well, you certainly know if you hit one. It is a big side effect of all the snow we've seen so far this winter, potholes.
I have been dodging them. Today, Lexington streets and roads crews took advantage of the sunshine and milder temperatures by patching up some of those potholes. Crews say that if you see one, you simply call LexCall at 311, and they have 48 hours to patch it up.
Now, your hour-by-hour forecast with Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey.
Gorgeous sky across the area today. A lot of sun out there. A little bit of cloud cover from time to time, but overall, nothing that we can get overly concerned about given where the pattern has been for the past couple of weeks. Look at that sunset that is showing up right now in Lexington. 44 degrees. Beautiful. 44-degree temperature. Winds are coming at us at around 10 miles an hour from the southeast, so it feels a little cooler. You can see that east to southeasterly wind, but we go back to our west. The winds are starting to shift around a little bit. 59 Paducah, southerly wind, 71 Springfield, 73 Kansas City. Can you pick out where the warm front is here? We go from the 60s and 70s to the 30s and the 40s in just a few hundred miles. That's that warmer air that settles into the bluegrass state over the next few days. On the leading edge of that, getting some high ice crystal clouds that are really nothing to worry about. Wind advisory, got to worry about that tomorrow. Set the stage all week for the possibility of a big blast of wind tomorrow. I think those gusts hit 40 to 45 miles per hour, if not a little greater, into most areas. Temperatures tomorrow, let's break that weekend forecast down. Never too early to talk about the weekend. I start talking about the next weekend as soon as Sunday's wrapping up. Highs tomorrow close to 60 degrees. Winds are going to gust 40 to 45 miles per hour. How about your Saturday forecast? It's another very mild day, 60 to 65. Chance for a shower or two, but if you're asking me which of the 2 weekend days is going to be the best day to get out and enjoy, it's going to be Saturday. Rain going to increase on Sunday. Temperatures will come down just a little bit too. We can follow the entire weekend forecast as we break it down for you each and every hour. 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, high 30s to low 40s. 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, sun, mid and upper 50s, close to 60 around 5 o'clock as we sound the horn for the weekend. Those Friday evening plans, thermometers likely stay at 50 degrees or better. There's the chance tomorrow night into Saturday morning for a little scattered shower. Look what happens, though, by Saturday afternoon. Gusty winds, though not nowhere near as strong as tomorrow, will blow some of the clouds out of town. For areas getting sunshine, 65 is possible on Saturday. We go towards Saturday night and Sunday. Now we start talking about a little bit of light rain across the entire area. Could be some heavier downpours as we go through our Sunday, middle of the day toward the afternoon. That's a sign of some colder times to follow early next week. Rainfall totals this weekend. Since we came on the air at 4 o'clock, the numbers have inched up a little bit with a new computer model run here showing greater than half-inch amounts, generally a half to local 1 inch showing up across the entire area. The majority of those drops will fall as we go into the day on Sunday. Then we're going to watch the jet stream early next week take a big dip across the eastern part of the country. It's going to spawn a storm. Is that storm close enough to impact our weather in Kentucky, or is it across the eastern seaboard? It's a fine line that we're going to be walking this far away on any given day, let alone talking about a big system like that. So we'll fine-tune it as we get closer. Don't worry about the weekend, guys. No fine-tuning there. It's just flat out fine. We'll leave the tuning out of it.
Maybe time to get the car wash, you know?
Be a good time.
Next few days.
Huh? Yeah, even if it's just for a couple of days.
It makes you feel better.
It does.
Thanks.
Let's head back now to Rob, who is on the floor of Rupp Arena.
Getting ready for the Cats and the Vols, getting closer and closer. We'll hear from both coaches, and we'll hear from Isaiah Briscoe, who has been working on his shooting, getting up a lot of shots. That's next, live from Rupp Arena. Stay with us.
WKYT First Alert Weather is brought to you by Lexington Athletic Club.
I could get used to this.
Now you can, when you lease the 2016 ES350 for $349 a month for 36 months. See your Lexus dealer.
Some mornings are harder than others. You push through anyway. Sometimes you wonder if it'll ever pay off, but you stay the course because they need you to. It doesn't happen right out of the gate. It takes dedication. Every day, every dollar. You've planned one step at a time, well, with some really good help. It's for them. It's always been for them.
Trust our team to help you cross the finish line. Wealth South, your race, our team.
Chimneys are in a constant state of deterioration, and most will leak at some point. We solve this problem. Don't call a roofer to fix your chimney. Call Barnhill Chimney Company today.
Don't miss your chance to see Flashdance, the musical. One girl, one dream, one chance. What a feeling.
Variety Live presents Flashdance the Musical, March 4th at the Lexington Opera House.
It's not about the distance you have to go. It's about the drive that gets you there.
It's what makes us Kentucky strong, independent, and proud.
Giving it your best, 100% every day, because that's what it takes.
When it comes to getting things done, nothing outperforms, outworks, or outshines Ford F-Series trucks from Paul Miller.
39 years and still the leader. Ford F-150 from Paul Miller. Big Blue Nation's destination.
United we stand, Kentucky strong. Ford trucks and Paul Miller.
Change is taking root in Frankfort. We need a voice that'll be heard. Daniel Elliott is the conservative for Boyle and Casey counties. Dedicated to protect our God-given freedoms from Obama liberals, Daniel will ensure government is held accountable and our Kentucky values are protected. Daniel Elliott will fight government overreach that's crippled our economy. We need a strong voice. On Tuesday, March 8th, vote Daniel Elliott for state representative.
We don't just serve any fish sandwich at Culver's. We serve wild-caught North Atlantic cod.
This cod grows in a water that is cold, clean, and pristine, full of flavorful nutrients, and that comes through in the fish. This is the way we ship it to your restaurant. It's not pre-breaded.
So not only do we use the highest quality cod, but we still hand batter it the old-fashioned way.
That's remarkable.
And we think we get the best fish fillet sandwich because of that.
This is the best fish sandwich in America.
Welcome to Delicious.
The all-new Lexus RX and RX Hybrid. Never has luxury been this expressive. Lease the 2016 RX 350 for $429 a month for 36 months. See your Lexus dealer.
And welcome back to the floor of Rupp Arena, everybody, where Kentucky and Tennessee meet up for the second time this season. The Vols got the win the first time down in Knoxville. The Cats have picked up their defense and they're shooting the ball better. And that all adds up to wins. Isaiah Briscoe would like to be shooting better at the free throw line. He's hitting only 41%. He's shooting better from the floor, 44%. Briscoe was in the gym early yesterday getting up shots.
Just staying in shape and, just working out before practice. As you can see, I'm sweating. Me and KP was just in there shooting and, just every day before practice, just trying to become a better shooter. As a team, I think we're shooting well. We're getting a lot more open shots and the guards are rebounding and pushing and transition, and that's when we at our best.
Now talk about a player who can shoot. It's Jamal Murray, and unlike earlier in the season, Murray is taking good shots. His decision-making is improved.
You cannot shoot a bailout three, and that's the only thing. He has the ultimate green light, and he does. And he's early in the year, he didn't handle it as well, and that's why everybody said shot selection, decision-making, da-da-da-da-da. Well, now he respects it, and he's doing fine.
Tennessee coach Rick Barnes in his first season in Knoxville. Last season he was coaching the Texas Longhorns here in Rupp Arena. And the victory over Kentucky at the start of the month is a bright spot. Barnes came into a tough situation with the Vols, and he believes his players have tried.
The concentration's got to be there better. The effort. I don't think these guys haven't tried to give us an effort this year. I do think they're always tried to give us an effort. I just think our concentration and our basketball decisions have to be a lot better than we are.
And they will tip off here at 7 o'clock tonight. It's on ESPN, Kentucky and Tennessee. The Kentucky baseball team opens its season tomorrow down at Wofford in South Carolina. And today, first baseman Evan White named to the preseason All-SEC team. White was an SEC All-Freshman last year after hitting .318. SEC baseball coaches named White to the preseason second team. Baseball America has named White the SEC's best defensive first baseman. And former Bryant Station standout Shelvin Mack has been traded. Mack, a guard for the Atlanta Hawks, moves to Utah for a second-round pick. This came just ahead of today's trade deadline. Mack played in 24 games this season in Atlanta, averaging 4 points per game. And EKU's Noah Spence is rated as high as the top 10 in the upcoming NFL draft. Sam Amber, that's it from here in Rupp Arena. Back to you.
Thank you, Rob. A final check of your first alert forecast is next.
And then on the CBS Evening News, Scott Pelley sits down with Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton for a wide-ranging interview.
This is Monster Jam. Kids tickets start at just $10. Coming to Rupp Arena, February 27th.
If you're going to say better ingredients, better pizza, you better deliver. Which is why I'm introducing our new Papa John's Quality Guarantee. Love your pizza or get another one, absolutely free.
Get any large pizza with up to 5 toppings for just $9.99. Online only
at papajohns.com.
When it comes to your heart, there's one team that's leading the way to better care in the area. Baptist Health. Our team exceeds national standards for heart attack care and has been recognized with top quality ratings for cardiac surgery. From clinical research trials to advanced imaging and surgical options, our heart specialists provide nationally recognized comprehensive care. Right here at Baptist Health.
Kentucky Lottery jackpot sequence has been initiated. Prepare for current jackpot amount.
Saturday's Powerball jackpot is $212 million.
Philip Pratt, a proud grandfather, a loving and caring family man, a hard-working small business owner, someone who knows how to grow jobs and change the landscape in Frankfurt. Philip Pratt will hold government accountable responsibly, fight Obama's crippling government overreach on our agriculture economy, and preserve our Kentucky heritage in Owen and Scott County. On Tuesday, March 8th, vote Philip Pratt for state representative.
Lexington Overstock Warehouse is open this weekend only for our huge tax refund warehouse sale. Get quality furniture and mattresses at incredibly low prices. All wood bed $177, sofa with pillows $297. Go to LexingtonOverstockWarehouse.com for more details.
Cartown Kia USA wants you to pick your payment all month.
Drive home a new 2016 Kia Soul for $0 down and only $199 a month.
Bad credit or no credit, our specialists are standing by to get you approved today. Drive home a 2016 Soul, Forte, Optima, Sorrento, or Sedona today.
Pick your payment all month long at Cartown Kia USA. A 2016 Forte for as low as $209 a month. Or a 2015 Optima for as low as $239 a month. And we'll buy your car for cash even if you don't buy one from us.
Make time this spring to escape to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, where the only thing you'll want to do is have fun in the sun. Let the sound of the ocean's tide take all your cares away and leave you refreshed to experience something new. It's your moment to let go and unwind on Myrtle Beach Time.
Let go and unwind on Myrtle Beach Time.
Stay connected to the news that matters to you. Follow WKYT on Twitter.
If you're going to say better ingredients, better pizza, you better deliver, which is why I'm introducing our new Papa John's Quality Guarantee. Love your pizza or get another one, absolutely free.
Get any large pizza with up to 5 toppings for just $9.99. Online only
at papajohns.com.
All right, you've got some gorgeous, the sunset out there and the
Sunset's
clouds.
beautiful.
She's
Clouds
almost speechless.
Go out. I know. I've been trying to show it off over here. Now she finally recognizes it. Next couple of days, temperatures hit the 60s.
All right, enjoy the game tonight.
Show it.
See you at 11.